my first box office bust is going to be Nothing But Trouble, and that's exactly what this film brought to its budgetary restraints and restrictions, and to the box office. On a $45 million budget, it pulled back $8.4 million. That is not good. And this was the directorial debut of Dan Aykroyd. The film, the story was actually written by Dan Aykroyd's brother, Peter Aykroyd, and it was inspired by a true event that Dan Aykroyd was telling him about at a time when he was pulled over in upstate New York, and then he was brought to a justice of the peace and pretty much coerced into staying longer than he wanted to be there, invited to dinner. What should have been a 20-minute, maybe 30-minute interaction turned into like a 4.5-hour exchange. Unwanted by Dan Aykroyd, and then his brother was like, "This sounds like a great horror movie." But ultimately, this is one of these movies that it's so bad it's good. And mainly because of its cast. I mean, when you look at it, this is a stellar cast for a 1991 film where you have Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd playing dual roles, John Candy playing dual roles, Demi Moore, and amongst others. But and it pretty much, this one is it is weird on every level when you really sit back and watch this and digest this film, and it kind of hits like a more lighthearted version of Texas Chainsaw, like there with no Leatherface. Like, you get all of these horror elements when it comes to a grotesque family doing grotesque family stuff in a secluded area, and the thing that kind of pushes.
I love Dan Aykroyd.
That pushes this through is Dan Aykroyd playing the judge. So in this little pocket area of this pocket town, Dan Aykroyd is a judge, and what he does is he pulls over people that seem like they're living on the better side of life. Like, he hates bankers because he feels his family was, done wrongly by bankers. And so, with Chevy Chase driving a fresh new Beamer and looking like he's made of money and everything, they get pulled over, and he pretty much tries to hold them captive. And that is what happens to you if you are lucky, because they also have a roller coaster called, what is it? Let me see what I had to write the damn name down of this roller coaster. Mr. Bone Stripper, where that is their version of the, what happens if you get sentenced to death, where you ride this roller coaster. It might be fun for about 2.5 seconds. You get tossed on this conveyor belt, and then your bones get stripped from your body and spit out the back end. And it is just it is wild conceptually. It is gross visually. There are parts where Dan Aykroyd's character is removing his nose. His nose looks like it looks like a little penis on his face, and they accentuate the part where he rips it off, and it's wild, dude. But one thing that this film does have, and what it is most notable for, is we get a brief section of this film where Digital Underground is pulled over, and they have to now come see the judge, and they perform their song, Same Song. And this was... and you see Tupac, and this was the first film that he was in, and he was a backup dancer for Digital Underground, and this was the song where he spit his first verse in. So, without this movie, I mean, sure, the song would have still got made, but it was presented to the world in this film, and that's why this film is always going to be near and dear in my heart, just because of that alone. And I mean, once you get past the grotesqueness of it and just the complete utter missing of mark of the story, it has some charm. You just got to dig a little deep to find it.